Welcome to my home garage. Today we attempt to remove the rear cam phaser because our bolt is stripped. So I'm just gonna remove everything and get to it now. So first thing I'm gonna do is move as many of the wires out of the way as I can. Okay, so I turned the motor over, turn the crank over until my timing belt mark lines up here, my arrows. Number two, put my timing holder tool, and then an extra set of vice grips here. So all that force we're going to put on to remove this bolt, it puts a lot of tension on the cam, so this is like double the force holding it. So that's what we're going to do here. Make sure everything's tightened down, not too tight. You just want to make sure it's not going to move. We don't need to overdo these. Okay, so the next step is going to be removing the fuel, high pressure fuel pump. So it's just 3 bolts and 2 fuel connections, and we're going to relieve the fuel pressure first on the side. So we're going to relieve the fuel pressure here by spinning that nut, and then I'll just collect it in a cup. And then we're going to disconnect. I don't know if you can see. There's one underneath. Okay, you can see it. It's right under there. See that there? It's like, I don't remember the, I'll show you the bolt because I bought a new one. So here's the bolt we need to remove for the high pressure fuel line. A special bolt. There's actually an updated version of this, so if you have that, you don't have to worry about this nonsense. And this is a M8, so it's an M8 triple square. So that's what we have to fish in there. So what you do is you fish an extension from underneath the intake manifold all the way up there. And that's how you remove that bolt. It's actually it has a cutout. I don't know if you guys can see, but like where my finger is, it's all cut out to go straight down. So first thing I do is actually also remove this hose because we're replacing it, and that'll give us a little bit more space. That's after 20,000 kilometers. So it doesn't look too bad, but we're replacing it anyways. Okay. Now we can begin removing everything in the back. As you can see, things got out of control real quick. I was unable to drill this bolt out through the back and hammer a socket in. I even drilled a hole through there to get a drill through here, and I could not hammer a socket in and have it spin securely. So now I gotta remove the entire cam assembly, which means I gotta remove the timing belt, which means I gotta remove the front bumper, so I can get to these bolts, which are probably seized because I can't counterhold the thing, but at least I can replace a few parts while I'm here, inspect a few other things, but things got ugly quickly. So I'm here right now. I'm gonna remove the crank pulley, the cover, loosen the timing belt, pull it off, and then we can start removing all this shit. Well, I can't get this off, so what I'm gonna do is just pull the cam girdle out and then just leave the cams in. I don't need to take the cams out. Well, yeah, I do need to take the cams out. So to take the cams out after... Okay, so first I'm going to disconnect. There's two little bolts here that leave this cover on. I'll remove those. Then I'll take the whole cam girdle out. And then that should be okay. Let's try it. All the bolts are removed. All the top ones. And you go from the outside in to remove. So now we just got to pry this cam thing up. Everything's out now, so what I can do is I can remove the intake cam, and that'll allow me to remove the chain. As you can see, this intake camshaft was replaced at some point in this car's life, so let's go put it somewhere real safe where it won't get damaged. Let's put it right there. Now we got our exhaust. There's our chain. We'll figure out how to put it on after. Oh, look, our tensioner. I knew it was failed. Look at it. It just exploded. Yeah, anyways. So now for this plate, I guess I can try and... I just remove it like this, see? Okay, so what we got now is we're gonna drill that out. So we got it secured so it won't fall. We don't want it too tight, just enough so it doesn't move. Okay, and we're gonna just keep stepping up the drill bit until this falls out and we're just left with the pin of the actual screw. Okay, I got it off with minimal damage. So if I was to do this again, I actually used an impact gun. So T60, I would take the cam off, drill it perfectly centered, deep enough to hammer that socket on, and then I would hold it with a vise and just gun it off, because it came off so easy now. So let's just see if there's any damage. Be very careful drilling, look. I damaged the cam slightly there. I don't think that's going to affect it. And even down in there, just slightly. I think it's still going to hold. I'm going to put Loctite. And this shit's never coming out again. So, oh man, what a nightmare. Let me put these cams to the side. Because now I gotta clean the phaser from all the stuff that went inside it. So that's what I'm gonna do now, is take apart the phaser and clean it. Let me just clear the table. Okay, so it's apart now. It's exactly like a Honda phaser. So all I'm gonna do is take this whole thing apart, clear it out, because I might have got some debris inside. So now we can take it further apart. So got our spring. Just remember the way this thing went together. And that's it. So there we go. There's the phaser all apart. So now clean each individual piece. Just remember that that one lines up in that hole. So now I'm just going to get something to clean this all up. I took everything apart. Just remember the pin has to go in this area here. Because the way this works is when the pin is down, it locks in place and then it's allowed to run free. So there's markings on the back there, right? And then there's a marking on there. So I'm assuming those should line up. So the next piece to go on would be well, first I'm going to lubricate it. Okay, this piece is in, and you can see that's how it works. Cam is allowed to phase in and out depending on which side oil goes onto. And then when the pin locks here, the whole thing locks in place. The cam always has some movement. So the last piece is this one. We're going to put on top, and then just make sure we line up that line there with that line there and lubricate everything. So we know we're going to line it up like so. And now we got to make sure that the screws go all the way through and reach the other side. So that's another. Do your best to clean the groove inside the mating surface. It's very difficult to make off, but you need to make sure you have a groove so that your sealant can go inside. And you're just going to do the entire thing. Just follow it along. Make sure you got everywhere. Okay, that's everywhere you need to apply it. Just make sure you got it all. So you're going to be back. Take your cam bridge over. You're supposed to remove these bolts. I am not doing that. Someone said now is the time to install your camshaft end. So this goes in like so. Right now the cams are rested in a position where they're under no tension. So we gotta make sure there's two guides. They're gonna help center. Okay. Now skip to putting all your screws in. They're all the same. We're going to torque them for 10 newton meters. I'm going to do it by feel because I'm not buying new bolts. It's such a small torque. Sure they're all in. Just gonna go in slowly. Start from the inside out. And we're just slowly working it in. Once you start seeing the RTV oozing out the sides, you're almost there. I used Victor Rain's Reinstalling seal. I don't need the anaerobic. It's not rated for as high as the temperature, so I'm kind of worried that it'll fail. What you want to see is it spewing out on the outside. And then you know that it's done its job, pretty much. Also, while you're here, you're going to install your cam seal. You're just going to want to lubricate the inside with oil. Okay, once that's on, you got tighten it to 10 Newton meters. 88 inch-pounds. Now if you look inside there, you'll see all the RTV has oozed out of the sides, which means that you have got full penetration, and that's what you're looking for. You don't have any leaks. Now you just have to wait for all this to dry. The cover just goes on the front of the engine, or else you won't be able to get it on after you put your cam sprocket on. So make sure you get the tube behind here, or you won't be able to get it off. Now I can install your cam correctly this time after the cover's on. Make sure your Woodruff key is in place. We're just going to tighten this by hand. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is install our tensioner. Throw some thread locker on the bolts and torque them to 10 Newton meters. Get a mirror, it'll help you line everything up. Cover up your engine bay a bit. It's gonna hit the ground. Alright, let's try this again, one bolt at a time so we don't lose it. Put this in here so you can install your mirror to look. Okay. Same idea. Let's do the top one first. Okay, get your other, just do one at a time. Your last one. Torque it up. I'm just gonna go by hand first. 88 inch-pounds is 10 Newton meters. It's literally nothing. Okay, tight. Now you take your chain like this. It's gonna sit like that. You count 18 links starting from here. 1, 2, 3 to 18, then 19, and you mark it on both sides, okay? And that's the way it's gonna go on, according to the internet. Hold on a second. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Once that's installed, get a new bolt. Just to give it a little tightening for now. Just gonna hold the cam. Okay. We'll do a proper torque after, so that bolt's tight. So now we can pull the chain. This is not doing anything right now. This is almost lined up. Technically it should be, this one should be more over here, like that. That's pretty close. And this one should be more that way, which would explain that's where the tensioner takes up the slack. So there you go. Alright, so I'm going to torque that. I'm going to reassemble the time belt because we've all seen that in my other video. Because I left all my marks timed on my timing belt, everything will go back better. So I marked everything on here. If you take a look, I marked the belt, even the water pump, and then I just got to make sure my tension's good. And I marked the top. So now you can start putting everything back together over on the front side. So everything here is, I just need to torque that bolt. And you can put everything back together in reverse orientation. And I recommend turning the motor over a bunch of times, making sure the timing's still good. And you're good to go. Thanks for watching. Well, I'll put it back together. Everything's back together in the front with a new tensioner. Install this cover here. Remove all this stuff, install the rear cover, install the valve cover, start buttoning everything up so that we could turn the motor over. Well, first I'm going to turn the motor over, make sure everything's good before I start doing that. I turned the motor over 5 or 6 times. All my timing marks are still lined up. And if the rear was out, then it would change the effect of everything in the front. So same thing. Can you put a tool in there? The answer is yes. You can even use your actual tool. It should fit right in there, and it does. So now it's just a matter of putting everything back together. Valve cover gasket, tightening spark plugs, front bumper, bleed the cooling system, check all my hoses, and we should be good to go. So maybe this is a good opportunity to check the blow-off valve, make sure that the actual diaphragm isn't ripped. So maybe I'll take a look at that now. Beautiful cold start, no chain rattle. This is the third drive I'm taking it on, the first official one to work, and it hasn't rattled once on startup since I changed the rear chain and the tensioner. So I believe it was literally on its way out, and the fact that the chain tensioner kind of exploded into 2 pieces when I removed it kind of was a sign as well. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. I know I didn't show a lot of putting it back together, but if you watch my video on doing the timing belt and all that other good stuff, it's a 3-part series. Pretty much there's a lot of overlap, so I'm not going to show it all again. Most important part was the cam bridge, drilling out the tensioner, replacing the bolt, all that good stuff. So hopefully nothing goes wrong, or else you'll see it back in the shop again. Have a good one.